Hi. Hi, okay, let's have a look at... We want to look at female genital cutting in Aboriginal Australia. We do because, yes, we like to understand human rights and sex discrimination. We do. So we are looking at, first of all, let's look at No FGM Oz. That's an Australian anti-genital cutting of women website. Anti-female genital cutting website. No FGM Oz. Let's have a look at their facts. Frequently asked questions. Now what do I want to know? Well, I found out what I wanted to know. They say, it is also reported that circumcision rites were practiced by women of the Arunta tribe in Australia. So according to FGM Australia, it's reported that Aboriginal women practiced circumcision rites. Yes, it says practiced by women of the Arunta tribe. It didn't say to women. It says by women of the Arunta tribe, as if those women have some agency of their own. That's the word that feminists use nowadays, isn't it? Here's my comment. Type in Aborigine, Aboriginal or Indigenous into No FGMR's search engine and you get nothing. But looking through their website, which seems to focus more on female genital cutting culture that originated from outside Australia, you will eventually find reference to women of the Arunta tribe. Here's their quote again. It is also reported that circumcision rites were practiced by women of the Arunta tribe in Australia. And I repeat, by women, so it's not something that was happening to them, possibly by men, by women. Australia's first people, this is me commenting now, have a long history, and that apparently includes genital cutting practices involving both males and females. I cannot say how accurate anthropological accounts of circumcision and introcision, etc., of Aboriginal females are. It's secret women's business, after all. But they are certainly cited as evidence, even by the Office of the High Commissioner at the United Nations, when discussing genital cutting practices and international human rights law. See the fact sheet, number 23, harmful practices affecting the health of women and children. So this is the Office of the High Commissioner at the United Nations, and they put out a fact sheet, so it's supposed to be true, it's supposed to be truth, and affecting the health of women and children. Here's my comment about the using of the term children. Women's health and severe forms of female genital cutting may indeed have health implications for male children too, yes, but this UN fact sheet, this truth sheet, is overall a feminist document couched in feminist terms and is little concerned about male children, but more concerned about female children. They mean women and girls, basically. That's what they mean. They mean women and girls. So say women and girls if you mean women and girls, and you will. So say it, but you'll still leave boys to have their dicks mutilated, won't you? You will. This is the UN I'm referring to here. Say women and girls if that's what you mean, but don't say make out you care for all children if you're going to leave boys to have their dicks mutilated. From the UN fact sheet. This is from the UN fact sheet. Another form of mutilation which has been reported is introcision, practiced specifically by the Pitta Pata Aborigines of Australia. I believe it was Pitta Pitta, but they've got Pitta Pata. When a girl reaches puberty, the whole tribe, both sexes, assembles. The operator, an elderly man, enlarges the vaginal orifice by tearing it downward with 3 fingers bound with opossum string. In other districts, the perineum is split with a stone knife. This is usually followed by compulsory sexual intercourse with a number of young men. This is what the UN fact sheet says. So according to the UN, this is truth. Here's my comment. This United Nations fact sheet account of female genital cutting in Aboriginal Australia is not an Aboriginal account, but taken from anthropological reports written by non-Aboriginal people. Who knows how accurate and reliable the accounts are? However, it does look as if female genital cutting is practiced by Australia's first people, and thus it's probably a practice that is hundreds of years old, if not thousands of years old. I add further in these notes of mine, sex discrimination and cultural sensitivity are two different things. My special interest is in sex discrimination and how the law treats men and boys differently from women and girls, at least as far as genital cutting is concerned. Animals also are treated differently from male humans. It's illegal to circumcise an animal of any gender, so the RSPCA informed me. It's up to 21 years in jail here in New South Wales for a mere pinprick to a little girl's genitalia. It is perfectly legal, however, to slice out healthy and valuable erogenous tissue from helpless baby boys. I think if we're going to talk honestly about sex discrimination in relation to genital cutting, we must look at Australia's first people and acknowledge their history and culture. And yes, of course, with respect. Treat them with respect. At the same time, I must observe that female genital cutting is now illegal, whether Aboriginal or non-Aboriginal female genital cutting. It has been for 20 years or more. Family Planning Victoria say, if you ask, is FGM or female genital cutting legal? In Australia, it is illegal to practice FGM/FGMC in New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Australian Capital Territory and Northern Territory have legislated against the practice of FGMC, and it exists in the criminal codes of Western Australia and Tasmania. There is no federal legislation regarding FGM, female genital cutting. My comment on that. Well, that's interesting because Human Rights Commission Sex Discrimination Commissioners, that's the Federal Sex Discrimination Commissioners, can certainly bend their steps to attend FGM summits. And the Human Rights Commission will give community service awards to anti-FGM organisations like No FGM Oz, for example. However, the Human Rights Commission remain blind, deaf as regards genital integrity as a human right for male children, whether those children are male Aboriginal children or male non-Aboriginal children. From a sex discrimination point of view, I cannot see why male children should be treated differently from female or intersex children. Finally, cultural sensitivity about genital cutting is one thing, and sex discrimination and genital cutting is another. I'll leave the links I discuss below. I will. See ya. That's just me this morning at 10 o'clock on this day. What is it? The 1st of March. Just trying to understand the whole picture of genital cutting in Australian Aboriginal culture. I don't pretend to understand it all. If you know more about this and can tell me more, please do. Bye.